3, 2, live.
You're now watching two old farts making noises. Welcome to Canadian Art Today with your host, Paul Constable.
Hey, we're back. Who knew?
We're back.
Yeah.
in sunny Canada.
In sunny Canada.
Well, the sun's coming up. It's I don't know what's sunny, right? But the sun's coming up. It's everything's a little bit later in the wintertime, but
yeah, we like it.
It's encouraging.
Nice. We have an exciting show today. I think it's going to be very cool.
We're pushing boundaries here a little bit for ourselves and learning the curve, right? We're just trying to.
Paul's been interviewing this lady, Joanne, for the last couple of months. We've interviewed her several times, and it's been wonderful. And her shows that she's on gets mega watches. And Paul now is going to go under the gun. He's been saying everyone who's an artist needs to use Joanne to make sure you know A, B, C through Z. And Paul now is going to do that. So we have a box of Kleenex for Paul, just in case. And then we're sitting in the background here. So, it should be good. But it'll be very interesting for the artists that have websites to see what she says about yours. And hopefully they get good ideas and possibly use her to help make their stuff better.
Well, we're pushing, the art industry is always looking for different ways to present their material and their art material. And I think the buying public since COVID have become quite proficient and confident in buying online and viewing things. And they're looking at things. Can you imagine buying a car on your phone? I can't, it's like, you know what the Mercedes looks like. So you know the model, you've studied it already. No, okay, now I'm gonna go buy it. And you think,
why not?
I still like to go in and sit and smell the new smell and the leather. And you want that personable thing. And you say, well, a lot of times that's not available. That car hasn't been made in the factory yet. It's being custom for you somewhere at some point. So you can't just walk in and buy it. Now, paintings can be much the same. You want a painting from across the country, you can't get it. So you have to buy it online and it's shipped to you, and you know what you're going to get. The confidence that's there with the gallery that you're dealing with. There's still the ethics of good business, and that's what we're talking about here. And so we're going to use 23 years.
It's all going virtual, I think, Paul. That clothing will be virtual. Cars, everything. So it's a great step forward for you guys to, have a platform so that people can see this stuff and take the time with it, I think.
Yeah, it takes a while, and we're trying to. We can talk about that. We try and build that personal touch into a different buying experience. Maybe there's something there we haven't quite touched on yet, and if you don't step forward, you're never going to dance. So you got to move it and keep on going.
That's very true. That's very true. You got to always push the envelope, as they say.
I guess so. And, it's not going to stop. It's been moving rapidly this last 3-4 years. So the changes have been dramatic for a lot of industries. So I think the art industry alone is experiencing lots of things. Overhead costs are huge. Rent, space. I can't imagine what rent costs in New York. Really.
I can tell you what it costs for a 130 square foot hawker that we have in New York. We pay almost $20,000 a month for it. Just to give you an idea of what rent is.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah. It's like little.
I'll leave you with the latest corporate speak of evaluating projects. It's called "Let's Weigh the Pig." So.
We're going to weigh the pig? That's a horrible way to introduce a guest. Wow. That's terrible. Hi, let's weigh the pig. That's great. Come on, bring in your guest.
No, but just in regards to the website then.
Gotcha. Okay. I just want to make sure we're clarifying that. Yes. So we don't want our guests to think that. So, we're going to bring in Joanne, and we're going to let Paul and Joanne talk about who Joanne is. And David and I are going to disappear because after his comment, let's weigh the pig, we're done. We'll see you guys probably at the end or not. You guys have a wonderful show. We'll bring in Joanne really quick to say hello. Joanne, it's always good to see you.
Hi, Joanne.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good.
And
Good
we're
morning.
going to disappear and let you two do the magic that you two do. So we'll see you guys later. Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay. The magic. You're the magic.
You're the magician.
Am I? Oh my goodness. I got to get
I'm just the woman you can saw in half.
yeah. Well, I'm kind of this virtual, is cryptic thing. I'm floating in the air here. It feels like I'm not very tangible with this background behind me. But we were just touching on a bit of a conversation about, I guess, the tangibility of an online gallery in a presence for an artist. I mean, the artists right now are online all the time. They're promoting their materials. They're in social media. They're doing videos. They're doing how do you present this material and who's looking at this material. Well, 99% of the time is artists looking at the artist's material. So you've got to reach out past that artist. You've got to say, that's fine that your friend knows that you're having this show, but at a certain point, you have to find an audience that resonates with you. And it only makes sense that if you are, we have quite a few thousand artists listed on Artists in Canada, and it only made sense to say, how can we help those artists better? How can we present them to a new market? How can we find them new buyers? And when you look at, we're searched usually near the top of the page, anything to do with Canadian art, landscapes, things like that in a search. And so we have a fairly large organic following. 85% of our market is new every day. Like, it's like new. I can't believe that's how big the world is. New every day. And you say, well, we share those very openly with all. We don't gray you back. If you got the right material, we put you up right on the front page. Away you go. I mean, your artwork has to sell you. I mean, pictures are 1,000 words, as they said, right? So now we have to take that and say, okay, now we're going to, I'm just going to click on this. Maybe we can share the page. I can maybe get David to, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. Anyway, I think maybe I clicked a slide. There, we need to, I was trying to mirror our, mirror our page. So yeah, I think, yes, David, this is the one. So no, this is the one, David, the first one. Yeah, there we go. So I'm sorry, I'm technically challenged. Yeah. Anyway, I'll just leave that up here for now, and we'll talk about our page. What's going on here? We have a bit of a lag when it's live here, so maybe that's not the best. We'll just go back to this other one, David. We'll just use the slides. Yeah. So when we're looking at presenting artists, I think we're trying to find a platform for them, and that's what we're doing. We're doing. We've just started launching this. We started building this a number of months ago. It's a massive job, and you start understanding the infrastructure that one takes to build. It's not just a template you buy off the shelf and stick it up on the page, and you're done in a minute and a half. It just doesn't work that way. Everything is integrated, and what's unique about ours is our members that are members, they have access to the back end, so they can load their images, and it saves myself a lot of work in that I'm not making typos and things like that, and the right size is there and the prices are right, and then we load the program. So to build that infrastructure for them to work on. So it's the automation is working for us, not against us, hopefully, and we can go on and do our other things. So let the industry help you online. This doesn't happen in a bricks and mortar. So in a bricks and mortar, you there's a huge amount of costs. I was trying to go through the list of stuff that it's expensive for an artist to be in an art gallery if you are not selling. I'll qualify that. If you don't sell regularly a lot and you don't move to the top of the pile, you're not on the wall all the time. You have to share just like everybody else that wall space. They have so many shows a year. And if you're not part of one of those, you have to really say, is my value there? Is there value in, I mean, they make those judgment calls with memberships and all other kinds of things. Why would you not make the same judgment call on a gallery if they're not working for you, if they're not promoting you, and if they don't make a sale for you? You have to look at maybe that you're in the wrong gallery, or we've been through a lot of these discussions previously. This one, we're really talking about an advantage for an online presence. Um, what are your thoughts, Joanne? How do you see online galleries fitting in with an artist? Should they be in both, or if they can, an online gallery and a bricks and mortar gallery?
First of all, Paul, congratulations for launching this um, incredible exhibition. So I love the title that you've titled the exhibition Regional Differences. And what that says to me is, of course, you're showcasing artists from coast to coast all across this great country of ours. And there are indeed many regional differences as we move across the country. And so I think what this says to me is that here we are now having an opportunity to take a look at a virtual gallery online, and there's so many pluses to looking on a virtual gallery. First of all, here we are. It's a snowy day in Ontario. I can sit here this morning. I can scroll through your feed online. I can see the exhibition. It's so convenient. I can take my time. I don't have to get in my car and drive to a gallery to see anything. It's right here. So the convenience, for one thing, of looking at a multitude of genres is of course critically important. And you don't just have virtual visual art. You have sculpture. You have different mediums presented. So it's kind of like a kaleidoscope of art all under one umbrella. So from that point of view, it's tremendous. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, of course, there are many buyers now that are searching and buying art online because it is more convenient. And by doing something like this, Paul, I think you are able to reach a much higher audience, perhaps outside of Canada, than if this show had been in a physical gallery. So I'm going to touch on a few more things as we go through the discussion. But right off the bat, I think those are huge opportunities for artists to have their work seen by a wider audience, and for buyers to have an opportunity to have a good look at all kinds of artwork that might be available to them without having to travel a distance to go see it.
Yeah, it is a way to buy from away. So in other words, um, your local galleries, it's great to support them. I'm not taking anything away from that. But when you want something from a different part of the country, that gallery is basically selling regional artists, artists that are in that region, even though they do maybe bring some in from other areas to, prop up their gallery a bit with some different types of art. But with an online gallery like we are hosting from coast to coast, you could buy art from any part of Canada. Um, Say you previously lived in Vancouver and you're now living in Halifax and you want a remembrance of Vancouver, we got Vancouver artists. So it's not like you can walk down to your gallery in Halifax and buy a painting of Vancouver. It just doesn't exist. So it's a shopping catalog, basically, is what we have. And I think vice versa, everything, somebody in a different region can buy for the same another reason. But really, the costs are, when I started looking at, when we were setting up the shipping, and you try to figure out the cost for somebody to ship something across the country. And we found out that, we just come up with a flat rate, and a lot of them have just put in free shipping. I mean, really, if you think about it, an artist has to ship their paintings anyway to a gallery for free. They don't get paid to ship to a gallery. Then the gallery, they take their margin, which is usually about 50% on that. You eat the 50%, the shipping cost as an artist to start with. They sell the work, they ship the work again to the client. It's marked up again, it's marked up. So right away, there's two shipping costs on a piece of work that's shipped outside of the gallery, not hand delivered. So the client ends up paying for that. So your work is actually being sold for more money than the artist is actually getting in their pocket. Throw framing on top of that. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So an online gallery can do something for less money. It costs money to build the infrastructure and maintain, but our rates are at quite a bit less than 50 or 30%. So the artist is still making 70% of the money. So it's
one of the beautiful ways that you structured your show, Paul, is that art lovers are able to go in and filter their price point. So if they're looking for art that is, say, under $1,000, they are able to go in and search for their price point without having to, if you were in a gallery, for example, very often, as you mentioned, the price points in galleries might be higher. But the other thing is that I would be surprised that there are many galleries that would offer this variety of exhibition all in one setting. Usually galleries will have 2 or 3 artists that they'll showcase and move their exhibitions maybe every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. In this case, you have a wide selection of work to choose from. And I must say, I've been very impressed with the caliber of the submissions, Paul. They look strong to me. And I know that you are supporting emerging artists, but you're also supporting mid-career and established artists. So honestly, I think there is something for everyone here with the way you've structured the pricing of the artwork.
Yeah, we kept a ceiling on this one. This was our first group show, so that's why there's such a variety. I kept a under $1,000 ceiling, prior to Christmas and those kind of things. We didn't limit people to a square foot show or anything like that. They can put in the sizes that they want and the kind of work that they wanted. They were allowed 2 pieces for the group show. And it didn't cost them anything to be a part of this show. Like a lot of places charge to be a part of a show, even to cover their overhead. This is all part of their membership. We'll do this twice a year. I think we're going to do a spring one. There are a lot of work. I think there's I'm guessing over 85 artists in this show with 170 pieces of work. This will grow come spring. Like the next show will be bigger than this one. And this slide that's up here, just showing people how easy it is. There's a form. You click one of those images at the bottom, and we've got a picture of Yanakumi's here on the left at the top of her birch bark. Beautiful stuff. And that's how simple it is. There it is, PayPal. We're actually adding in some. You can use Visa, MasterCard through PayPal, but we're actually putting in our Visa, MasterCard this week. And by e-transfer as well. It's just the security aspects that we want to be careful of, to make sure there's secure portals for people to use. And so it's easy as that. Fill out the form, click the button, it sends us an email. Fill out your name and address when the form comes out, because that's how we ship things to you. And that's how we figure out the final, the cost of it. But a lot of this cost is free shipping already. They've already figured this is free within Canada. And
what a deal.
It is. And you know what? Shipping over the border is really not much more because you've already free in Canada, just a few dollars more to get over the border. And as Steven says, they're Canadian dollars. So anybody buying in US currency, you're already saving 30% right there.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
it's great. And we've, like you said, on the right-hand side, you can see Lindsay Embry's work of scarf. These are handmade, hand-dyed. Her process is amazing. She uses different plants to extract not only the texture, but the coloration that comes out of plants. It's an amazing process. We will have a show with an interview with Lindsay one day here. And when she's a very busy lady, but and Margaret Blanc, that's a quilt on the bottom. It's an amazing landscape quilt by Margaret Blanc. So there's great value in a lot of these things that artists produce. And art is so amazing in that it covers every gamut, like paintings through fiber and art and jewelry. And we hope to have these things come out as we do it. But we're going to be probably doing 1 and 2 person shows, solo shows between our group shows. So that's where our artists will get a full plug, and we'll start promoting them on an individual basis.
And
Stephen loves this.
What a wonderful, wonderful service, Paul, to the artists that you have represented in Artists in Canada. I mean, I can think of no greater opportunity and convenience to have your work shown across the country to a very diverse, wide audience. I mean, that just doesn't happen at an art gallery, for a physical bricks and mortars art gallery. As I'm looking at your work, Paul, I'm thinking about in Ontario right at the moment, we have a show on called One of a Kind, a very popular show in Toronto. And it is a trek to Toronto. It is a charge to get into the show. It feels like it's miles and miles of walking around and looking. And here it is. You have presented it in such a wonderful way that people can, as I said, sit from their sofa and take a look at all this wonderful work. So I think it's wonderful.
And I think people are, they'll look at it on their computer. I think you like to look at your artwork as large as you can, make sure it's what you want. A lot of people buy on their phone, though. They know what they want. I don't think you get a real good feeling on a phone as to what art's about. But as we go through this experience in the next year, we're probably going to have more artist interviews that are integrated with this show. So when you go to this show online from our homepage on Artists in Canada, you click on it and you go to our gallery that we just showed you here. And at the top is an interview that we did previous to this interview. So our interview is live right at the top of that page. So people can actually listen to us talk about Online Art Gallery and the show. And our first show, this is show number 2. And show number 1 is actually at the top of the page as a YouTube link. So use those devices. I mean, we're giving you those things. Use them to be knowledgeable about what's happening. I'm talking to artists as well as buyers. Artists do buy artwork, by the way. We probably trade more than we buy, but anyway, we're in that love of art because you can really appreciate what another artist can do, because you kind of go, oh my goodness, that's such a sensitive watercolor, or that beautiful sculpture. How, like, you can do one thing, but can you produce everything well? No, you can do some things better than others as an artist because you're trained more, say, as a painter, two-dimensional types of work, but all of a sudden in three-dimensional. Can you do jewelry as well as a person that does jewelry every day? No, that person knows how to set a jewel and the design and those things for people. So I think it's understanding that, and for an audience, that this huge variety. I mean, we have, like you said, there'll be 2 shows a year for our group, where everybody is on the same platform, Same amount of promotion for everybody as much as we can. I've been going through a bit of a trying to make shareable square still shots for people to use on their social media. But do I make 85 individual ones for everybody so they can see their pictures at the bottom of their device? And it's complicated. So we're working on that in a templated system somehow that artists can upload their own images into those devices that they can help promote. That's how it works. I mean, everybody has to send that to their following to see I'm in this show, and hopefully they come back and buy their work through the show. That's what we encourage them to do.
So I don't think we're saying, Paul, that there isn't a place for bricks and mortars galleries.
No.
There are, and indeed there are some advantages to the bricks and mortar experience. Of course, as you mentioned, you can go in and physically see the painting and, you know, smell it and look at it in detail. Unless some of your images happen to be very high resolution quality, perhaps there is a little bit missing in the images that are presented online. But nonetheless, we are still saying that there are advantages to working with galleries. For example, some art lovers will have a strong bond to certain art galleries and will feel loyal and trust a reputable art gallery, especially for art lovers that buy higher end art. They might feel a little bit apprehensive about buying online, but but I think that when you're in an art gallery, oftentimes client or patrons that come in and are looking around sometimes feel more pressured to buy a piece of art in an art gallery versus an experience like this, where you can take your time, you can look around, you can think about it, you can come back tomorrow. So I do think that there is a room for both, but it will be interesting to see as we move ahead in the years ahead, especially with the younger demographic who tend to like, click, and buy. And I think this will become more and more of a thing for younger buyers and the way they like to purchase art. They do like e-commerce. They like it, they want it, and they want it now. And so I think there are many advantages now to having this online gallery. But I'm not saying that, as we've talked about in previous shows, that bricks and mortar galleries do not have a place. They do, and they definitely will be a mainstay in Canada or in the world for the way art is being sold.
Yeah, I agree. And I like to go in and see it. And, you know, it's a very social thing when you go to an art opening and things like that, and you can see. But I found at art openings, a lot of times, who shows up? All the artists and their friends. They come for the wine and cheese. So that's fine. You can have your wine and cheese and look at a show, you know, it's online. But most art galleries have an online show already in their galleries.
Yes, they do.
You can search their websites and however they want to use their electronic devices to convey and send messages to their audience. Higher end buyers, I think you're not going to see really, like, you're not going to see a group of 7 painting arrive on our platform under $1,000. So you have to realize their market is different market than a market that sells in the higher end. But if you go and you look at Saatchi and some of the other galleries that they've been working for years, and their work isn't cheap either. They're international, and they've got a platform that artists can load up their images and do those things. The core of their material probably is mid and professional career artists, but they'll accept most things, and they say they do art critiques and different things. So we will do the same. We'll do some critiques as well for artists. We do critique the pieces of work that go on our shows. I've been very fortunate that the artists have sent amazing work. So they don't usually want a piece of that they're not happy with up on internet in in a gallery
let's hope
situation.
not. If they do that, they need to talk to me, Paul.
I will send them to you, Joanne, because I think you've done that for us before, and I think those artists are very appreciative of your time. I think it's understanding, I think most artists can sense as to whether it's a good piece of art, but it's nice sometimes to have a second opinion outside their friends who are being really nice to them, where you're nice to them, but you tell them in a nice way, maybe that one needs some work.
I have a
But
question. I have a question to ask you, Paul, on
mhm.
your website currently that you're or not, on your online exhibition. Do you have a space where a potential buyer could read a little bit about the artist? Do you have like a little bio so that the buyer can understand the background of the artist?
Yeah, we're in a situation where we're trying to um, put everything in. It's really difficult to in a small space. So we do have links to. If we go back here, I can go back a little shot. Up here, I think there's a buy. You can see more information about the artist if you were to click there, and that'll take them to we because we're integrated with our um, website and our directory is we can link back to the artist profile, so you can read more about the artist
Great.
from that link. It also shows more images by the artist. So right now we're just promoting those two images, and this, like I said, this is a portal to the next. They can see more information from there. So I think we've done that a little bit. If I have to start adding, maybe there's a situation where we can pull that bio information and it would drop down, read the artist bio. And that's how I'm seeing that working. So we're working through a platform here that, realizing we have 85 artists in this show, the next show will probably have over 100 artists in the show, getting bigger. Where do you put all the information so you can see things? As it is at the bottom here, we've got it. You want to look at the work and buy, say, Yanakumi's birch drawing, but below is the gallery continued at the bottom. So somebody says, "Oh, I still want to see her other piece right here, her print." Um, so I think the gallery continues below on those buying pages, so that we keep the connection, so you don't go out of the page. You have that, but yes, we need a searchable for price for this type of gallery, and we're slowly going through what we're doing. The two-person, one-person, two-person shows, we won't need all the categories because they're either painters or whatever. We won't need are these. Let's see sculpture and wearable art and see those things. But in a group show, we have to have a little bit more categories and things to do. So it's like running a library. You got to figure out where the books are. So that's where I'm just going to go
So
through.
when the show ends, Paul, what happens? Let's just say someone goes in today and then forgets about it or can't make up their mind, and the show closes. How is the art buyer able to purchase that work after the show closes?
Okay, so it actually will go into an archive for past shows. We'll hold them for 60 days and guarantee that price and that delivery that was offered by the artist. So it'll be there publicly for 60 days, but it'll be accessible as a link, but it won't be visible and promoted on the page, on the homepage. We're hoping to get our individual and two-person, three-person shows, small group shows coming up in January. That's what we're working towards now. And it's going to be really interesting because the process that we're doing is uh, I want artists from different parts of the country to have a show. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a posting board internally that nobody can see, only the artists can see, and they can look through the inventory of artists that say, I would like to have a show. That's all they're saying. They put up a piece of their work, Other artists will go to that board and say, "Oh, I like that show. It might complement what I'm doing. I live in Ontario, and that person lives in Manitoba, whatever." And said, get those two artists talking together and create a show, and we would
Wonderful.
host the show.
I think
And
that I think that's brilliant.
yeah,
I really do. And based on my experience with another organization in being able to review art from coast to coast and really understand that the regional differences were different. We're all from the same country, but that there are definitely distinctions between various regions versus the west coast of Canada versus the Maritimes. And I think that would be a brilliant opportunity to have two artists from two different parts of the country collaborate, and I'm pretty sure it would be really, really wonderful and interesting.
well, what's nice about it is they each have their own markets regionally in what they're doing. So it only makes sense to, if they each have a combined show, um, now their following knows about the other artist and their following, and vice versa. So you now have increased your following because you think about it. Your aunts and uncles and friends and their relatives have already bought your work. How are you going to sell any more work if you don't figure out a way of doing it? Social media is not going to let you do very much right now. They grade everything back on you. So what we have to do is say, Barbara, look at my work. Kathy, look at my work. And the you are endorsing each other because you are having a show together. So share, and you share your audience with the other ones. And we'll do interviews with these artists. We'll probably have a two-person interview. For instance, if Barbara and Kathy were to have a show, we will have a live interview with them, and we're hoping that that feed will be on that page. So you'll be able to listen to this. I'll probably do a half an hour conversation with them. We could do a Zoom or something like whatever. And they would have that great conversation about the show and their art and the relationship that was created between the two of them. Think about it. If you decide to travel across the country, now you now know an artist that lives in that other community. And the more shows you have, the more people you know. So all of a sudden, maybe you have a place to stay. I'm not going to be uh, a dating service, but I'm just saying I'm going to leave that up to people as to how they want to, who they want to have shows with. But understanding, we have it's just refreshing if you were to see on the left an image of BC and the mountains and something like that. And then you saw a piece of Quebec on the right from another artist. Mountains are different. The mountains are really different between BC and in Quebec. So that's the kinds of things we want to show and talk about. And it's difference of people and opinion, and what colors are like in one area more than the other, or I don't know what the differences are going to be. So that'll be really exciting.
And I think what's interesting, Paul, is for people that are interested in building an art collection. Perhaps they don't want to go out of the gate spending thousands and thousands of dollars, but they do want to build an art collection from artists across Canada. This would certainly be an opportunity for people to do that, to start small and enjoy regional differences from various parts of the country. And in fact, that would make a very interesting art collection in it for people that are interested in having a diverse art collection in their home.
Yeah, and I think going forward, we're probably looking at some curatorial work available for some people to curate a show. Just depends on what we're doing. Right now, it's um, our staff, which is me, basically the small staff, and my IT person, and a couple of other bookkeeper and such. And the thing is, um, we can look at it and see whether has got. I've been doing this for a while. This is 23 years we've been doing this. So plus my own career on top of it. So I might be able to pick out a piece of work that's maybe got some legs. So we kind of we'll put these up, but it would be nice to have other curatorial. Those things come with a cost as well. So it just depends on what the show is. And as we move up the ladder to bigger shows, I mean, we're not staying at under $1,000. The costs will, the value and the stuff of the paintings will be increased as based on the artists that they're here. So based on their reputation and also on their show record and what they're doing. So we're not undercutting anybody. Like I really encourage artists to sell at the same price they sell out of their studio or to the gallery. It's just that you put a little bit more money in your pocket when you come through here, but it's sold at the same rate. If you undersell yourself, undersell your work, you destroy your market and the confidence of your buyer because they've bought and it doesn't accrue in value or didn't hold its value because you scuttled the ship and sold it for less money to somebody down the road, right? And you go, no, you have to decide where you're comfortable at the price and honestly because it does cost. Everything's gone up. Paint's gone up, paper's gone up, everything's gone up. Understandably, your work has to go up. Otherwise you won't be in business long. It's a business a little bit.
One of the beautiful things, Paul, about what you're doing is that you are reaching an international audience. And so for those young artists or non-established, shall we say, artists in Canada, I can't think of a better opportunity for an artist sitting in a small town in the prairies to be able to imagine that someone from Japan or Korea is able to purchase their work. So by virtue of the fact that you're calling your platform Artists in Canada will have enormous appeal. It may take time to grow this, but nonetheless, it will begin to take on enormous appeal to an international audience. And I think that has got to be a huge advantage for Canadian artists.
I'm hoping so. I mean, we've been doing it, like I said, for 23 years and we've been growing it. And in day one, I never thought of this. I thought in day one, when the internet came out, I thought, I'm just going to get a website. I just got to get it. So my neighbor was he was doing some Flash and design stuff. And he told me, oh, you should just get a website. And I thought, well, why would I get one just for myself? I said, why don't I just do something for everybody? And I was lucky. I was within weeks of losing this name. But I went and, purchased the name. And then it just snowballed. It took 9 months to build the basic site. My brother and I worked on this together and in the early days. And it was basically just a big telephone book. And, we hosted and did some very basic things. But we've been in business for 23 years. You can't say that for a lot of other internet businesses. And hopefully our brand has, is strengthening the confidence of people and artists as well. We've had a lot of long-term members and new ones coming on all the time. And we're trying to be a bit of an archive and a service. So later on, there will be other services that Artists in Canada actually does, where we'll archive artists for longevity. So they'll always have because right now we have a lot of artists that are lost. They didn't really have a strong internet presence. The gallery said, oh, we'll handle everything. Don't worry about it. So while the artist was alive and while there's artwork at the gallery, they represented that artist. And then now I go through the directory and there's some dead links. Well, as soon as an art gallery changes their page that artist is on, and they had entered that into our site, they're a dead link. That artist disappears and we have to remove them. So I'm just saying, we really encourage artists to, they can add their social media to the page. They can manage their own content. They're getting what I would want as an artist. That's what I've built here. If I was to join something, and I know there's all kinds of Art in America and Deviant Art and all these other places that provide platforms. but we have them too. We have hosting and we have websites, and that's how we offset the cost. You think the membership cost pays the bill? Not a chance. Like, not a chance.
I have a
And
question, Paul, from a buyer's point of view.
mhm.
So in terms of the inability of not being able to go in and physically touch and look at the work, what happens from the buyer's point of view if they purchase the work? A, they're unsatisfied with the caliber of the work, or B, there is damage or there's a problem receiving the artwork. What happen? How can the buyer go back and sort that out?
Okay, so the process is you purchase a piece of work you like. The artist actually packages it and ships it to that customer. They have the address. They ship it to them. Uh, the buyer initially buys the work because we've got a shipping price and the artwork price. So we hold the money. Artists in Canada holds the dollars. The artist ships the work to the client. The client has 48 hours to approve the artwork. At that point, if we do not hear from them, or we contact them and saying how things going, they're great, then the money is allocated to the artist. We send the money to the artist at that point, and the deal is done. If there's damage, they have to ship the artwork back to the artist. The money is refunded to the buyer. Yeah, the artist doesn't get the money. So we really want the artist to be really confident. Otherwise, there's an insurance on the shipping as well. So, and if the client wants more than, say, it goes out by Canada Post or UPS or FedEx, depending on where it's going over the border or what, but then they have to litigate that. They have to go in between the buyer. There's a buyer, the artist, and the insurance based on the shipper that it was shipped at. So as artists in Canada, all we're doing is we are facilitating the sale. We are making sure the funds are collected and paid to the artist as quickly as the work is accepted. So it's still, that's as best we can do in an online situation. But because if it got shipped for free, it's only shipped, the artist or the client would ship it back. He'd have to pay to have it shipped back. That's sort of how we look at it that way.
And the sizes and the medium and everything is clearly outlined. It's titled. What responsibilities does the artist have in terms of showing certification of authenticity? Are there certain things that the artist can do to assure the client that they're getting an original piece of work? Right.
So in our admin area, every artist can download a certificate of authenticity. From that, they fill the form out. They include it in the package that is shipped to the client. So that it's got the signature and things on it that they need, and the date and the artist and whatever that needs to be put on that certificate. That's a PDF they just download and they print off on their printer and include it with the piece of work. And it'd be really nice if the artist actually writes a little note to the client and include business card. They can do that. I mean, we really want the artist to build followings. I mean, is there a guarantee that that buyer is going to come back through us again? They might contact the artist directly from then on. I don't know. I don't have an agreement with that artist that says, send me a finder's fee. I know some galleries do. I'm an artist. I know how art works. But we are establishing clientele, and we encourage the buyer to come back and buy that artist's work through us again. We stay in touch with them. We have a newsletter that they can sign up for, so we can tell them about new shows that are coming up. And I think that's all we can do in a respectable manner. We can't be bugging people that don't want to be bugged about it. Maybe they're a one-time buyer. I don't know.
Just wearing two hats here, Paul. and certainly thinking about it from the artist's point of view, but also from the buyer's point of view.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to. I mean, you're looking at, our artists, they want to build a following, and they want, I think they want a respectable representation. They want something that they're proud of. So far, I'm quite pleased with the commentary we've had on our social media, and there's a lot of us quite proud to be part of our show. You know what? When you sit shoulder to shoulder with some of these very nice, look at this, these paintings. Joseph Flasco's here, this beautiful painting here. Susan Lott's painting, and Bob Gettler's painting here, the abstract piece. These are reasonably priced pieces. Oh my gosh! And you think, there's Stephen's favorite bear. He just loves the bear. But look at this romantic paintings by Robert Murray, Roberta Murray at the top. This is old world beauty. Virginia Bergman. My goodness, these are juicy paintings. And you go, they're available online. They are convenient, less money, and you have a direct contact with that buyer, with that artist. I'm just moving along here.
Yeah, the diversity is incredible, actually. I think you've probably shown just about every subject matter that someone would appreciate.
Well, it is kind of a potpourri, but you know what? It is that regional differences. Some people see things differently than others. I mean, here's two landforms, two different parts of the country, the rock formations, and how one artist sees the rock as important, and the grass and the lichen and the things, and the sage that's growing up around that Indian rock, right? Like it's got that weathered look. Where Graham's is, he's got a church in the background. It has a really different feeling, and I think I like people to see how it's sort of like a travel log, if you think about it. How can I travel to a different part of the country through visual images?
Beautiful.
And that's what the show, when there's 170 pieces of art to look at.
Really beautiful.
You know what? This show, for instance, can be popped up on a big screen on your TV and on YouTube.
Yes.
So you can watch these images are a lot larger on a large screen. And you can always come back to the site and contact us about the artists. But
really, really beautiful work, Paul. And as I said at the beginning, super congratulations. I'm very, very pleased to participate with artists in Canada on the various initiatives that you're taking. I think that you're providing such an invaluable service to both artists and to art lovers in Canada. You're a hardworking guy. You're constantly trying to move the dial forward. And I really appreciate very much all your hard work in doing these things for all of us.
Well, I appreciate all your help too. You're a great supporter of us and our artists. So I do encourage my artists, or not my artists, but the artists on our site, that if they got some questions and questioning their career or different things, to reach out to you. I mean, you won't bite them, but and you guys have great conversations. Oh, there is the Mr. Online Buyer right there. I can't hear you, Stephen.
I said, we don't know if Joanne doesn't bite them. So let's not get carried away when we make statements like that.
You don't have polar bears in Texas, so hey, what the heck?
I know, right? I've been a Bear fan since I was a little kid. Not the football team, but just Bears in general.
They will
I can barely believe it. I can barely
They
believe
will
it.
eat you.
Joanne, as always, it was fascinating. So
Thank you.
Can't wait. I always enjoy when you're on because I always learn something.
I hope as well, Paul, for you and for the artists that you represent, that it goes way over. I forget the USA. I mean, as Joanne touched upon, this stuff should be everywhere. It's some magnificent pieces of art, and I encourage everybody. And I know you sort of think, well, let's get all the shipping and everything all organized before you go crazy. But yeah, let's get your stuff all over the world.
But you know what?
I think that's the biggest thing.
There is an enormous appeal for Canadian art outside of Canada.
That's true.
Especially in Asia. They are so hungry for our land and what is portrayed in our artwork. So I really, as you mentioned, David, I really hope that this can go much further than outside of our own borders and outside of the US, and take it into those places where people would gobble up what our local artists are doing.
Well, just so you know, 12% of our channel is North America, and the rest of it's global. And I think
Awesome.
13 or 14% of it is in Asia. We have Russia, Turkey. I can go through the whole. We've got everybody from South America. We have all the Americas covered, about 13%. We've got Asia and Europe and other places. So our channel is a global channel. So I'm assuming that everybody on the planet's seeing this. So it's
Love it.
it's a good
Makes
service.
me happy. Makes me happy.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well, guys, thank you
makes
so
us
much.
happy as well, Joanna.
It makes us happy too, sure,
thank you so
because
much.
David becomes a bigger star, his head swells. It's a whole thing. We'll talk about it later. But anyway,
What can I say? What can I say?
There you go. It was a pleasure. Always great to have you, Paul. Always a pleasure. We'll be back next Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Forward this to an artist friend, and maybe you can help them out. And if not, all the contact information will be below. You can reach out to Joanne or Paul if you have any questions, or you can go to the site and buy some art. It's good until December 10th.
Thank you so
Take
much,
care.
guys.
There you
Always
guys
a
go.
pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.